Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Diah Kumalasari. In this video, I would like to talk about the story Louisa, Please Come Home by Shirley Jackson. This story is one of the material from the courses prose that taught by Miss Indah Windra Dwi Agustiani SPD MPD and Miss Andrea Mela Elfarisha SPD MPD. In this video, I would like to tell about the plot summary, the intrinsic element, plot analysis, and the moral message. The story begins 3 years after Louisa has run away from home, when she hears her mother make her yearly announcement, "Louisa, please come home." Then there is a flashback at the time as Louisa tells how she ran away. She planned to run away on June 20, the day before Carol's wedding. While everyone was preparing for the wedding, she walked out the door. Paul, who is her neighbor, saw her on the way to the bus, but she lied to him and ran from him. She took a bus to the downtown area and then walked to the train station. She bought a round-trip ticket, to go to one place and then come back to Crane. But she was sneaky, because she never planned on coming back. In Crane, she bought a tan raincoat so she would look like every other girl her age. She then went to Chandler on a train, where she planned to stay. In Chandler, she bought a suitcase, stocking, and a little clock, things she could not bring with her from home, or everyone would have known she was running away. She changed her identity by changing her name to Louise Taylor and making up a story about saving enough money to come to Chandler. When the summer was over, she was planning to go to business school. She went to a drugstore to buy breakfast and a newspaper. She found an advertisement for a furnished room in a house owned by Mrs. Peacock. She met Mrs. Peacock and told her a fake story that her mother was a widow, her sister had just been married, and she had a youngest brother named Paul. Mrs. Peacock took care of Louisa and gave her a job in a stationery store. When Louisa lived with Mrs. Peacock, no one recognized her as the girl who is disappeared in Rockville, even though her picture appeared in the Chandler papers a lot. She canceled her business school because the stationery store was expanding, and she would probably be a manager soon. Louisa never thought about returning home until one day, Louisa saw Paul on the street and yelled out to him. He recognized her and threatened her if she did not go home with him, because he wanted to get reward money for bringing her home. Then Louisa decided to go with Paul. She told Mrs. Peacock that she will visit her family. Louisa and Paul went back to Rockville so Louisa could go back home. When they arrived at Mr. Tedder's home, she met her parents and her sister, but they did not believe that she is the real Louisa, because Paul has deceived them twice with bringing a girl that pretended to be Louisa. Mr. Tedder tells Louisa to go back to the people who love her, and she thinks about Miss Peacock. At the end, she not returned to her home and stayed still with Mrs. Peacock, and her mother still talked to her from the radio that she wants Louisa to come home. Intrinsic element, character. The characters in this story are the main character, Louisa Tedder, 19 years old, Mr. Tedder, Louisa father, Mrs. Tedder, Louisa mother, and Carol, Louisa sister. Paul, Louisa's neighbor, and the last, Mrs. Peacock, the owner of the room Louisa ran. Conflict. The conflict of Louisa, please come home, is her parents could not see the real Louisa, which resulted in the way Louisa thought they thought about her. That lack of communication between this parent and child led to their daughter leaving home and not wanting home. Setting. The setting of the story is a city during the 1950s. First, Louisa real home in Rockville. Second, Crane. Third, Chandler. And the last, in Mrs. Peacock's house. Theme. The themes of the story are: first, people often don't appreciate what they have until they have lost it. Second, though people might know you, they do not always see the real you. Analyzing plot. Orientation. The story begins 3 years after Lisa has run away from home, when she hears her mother make her yearly announcement, "Louisa, please come home." Rising action. When Louisa met Paul and decided to go with him to Rockville and meet her family. Climax. When Louisa met her parents and her sisters, but they do not believe that she is the real Louisa. Falling action. Mr. Tatter gives her advice to go back to the people who love her, and she thinks of Mrs. Peacock. Resolution. She going back to Chandler and stay with Mrs. Peacock. Her mother still talks to her from the radio and said that she wants Louisa to come home. Moral message. The moral message of this short story are: a communication is really important between a parent and their child, because with communication they can understand each other. Second, think carefully before you do something or you will regret it someday. And the last, remember your child face. And that's all about this story. Thank you for watching, and if I have a mistake, I apologize. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.